Welcome to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast, where we focus on discussing topics to help you burn fat, optimize health, and improve performance in life and sports. Transform the whole you from the inside out with the WHOLESTIC Method. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Debbie Potts.
Hey guys, it's Debbie, and have you used a CGM before? CGM is continuous glucose monitor, and there's different options out there. Ideally, you can get it from your doctor, but they seem to just want to wait until you're type 2 diabetic and not be preventative. I would like us to take ownership of our health and make choices now to prevent having high, low glucose readings and optimize your health from the inside out by testing and not guessing. And that includes a CGM that goes on for 14 days, and you can order one via NutriSense. And a CGM is giving you glucose updates with a small device in the back of your arm 24/7. Totally easy. I actually did a video on my YouTube channel, Low Carb Athlete, how to apply this CGM. First time, kind of scared, but it doesn't hurt. But it gives you real-time glucose readings. Glucose response to meals. You'll learn about what foods are reactive to you, and that could be a healthy food that you think is great, but it could raise your glucose. Simple things as stevia, for me, raise my glucose. Chewing gum, raise my glucose. Stress, when I'm driving a car and there's traffic, raises my glucose. Every stress response is a glucose response. So learn how to manage your stress. Learn how to pick right foods for you, unless you can, do other lab testing and figure out vibrant wellness food zoomers, but it's kind of expensive for people. So if you can wear a CGM, it's a great way to learn about stress, food, exercise, stacking movement with your nutrition. Figure out how to balance your blood sugar. So we want to learn more about how to exercise and eat or not eat. And morning cortisol, does it raise your glucose? If there's hidden stressors at nighttime, does your glucose go up higher while you're sleeping? So it gives us lots of clues that we can put in our investigation when we are working on your personalized fueling, training, and performance program to improve fat loss, performance, and longevity. So head to NutriSense website, nutrisense.io, how it works. You can learn more about your habits, your routines, your relationship to food, a little bit more. Great app to use, and it can sync on to different programs, so you can put it all together. So if you want to get started with your journey in NutriSense, I suggest this to all my clients. Use at least 30 days. So you can do a 30-day, 90-day, different programs, but you can pick which one you want. You get the sensor in the mail, put it on, lasts for 14 days, sync it to the app, and get your readings on there. And then if you're doing my VIP coaching program, I'm working with you to correlate this data together. So begin your health optimization journey with NutriSense, and you can save on your order with our code, as usual, Low Carb Athlete. So no carbs is not our goal, it's carb timing, and using NutriSense, you can help figure out your nutrient-dense whole food plan and when to adjust your macros based on your exercise intensity, duration, based on your life stressors, and learn more. So it's nice to have this data. So test and not guess with NutriSense. Let me know how you like it. Hey everyone, it's Debbie Potts, and I'm back starting to record some new podcasts for you. I took the month of July off just to start enjoying the summertime here in North San Diego, and also just taking care of me as I've been busy launching my PNOE metabolic testing and combining it with my health investigation coaching services up here in North San Diego, which is where we live, close to Del Mar, close to Solana Beach, Encinitas, Carlsbad. So all those amazing places are just other side of us. We're the other side of Rancho Santa Fe. So anyways, since I moved here 3 years ago, I used to know everyone in Bellevue, Washington, Seattle, and it's been a challenge, a new challenge, to get connected with people in the industry here, other practitioner, chiropractors, fitness studio owners, naturopaths, and there's so many of them. And I easily get drained, burned out, broken, which is what happened to me 10 years ago as I used to race Ironman and do 50K trail runs in the off season and marathons and cycling events. I just did tons of endurance events and races and ran my own fitness studio at the same time. And obviously, if you know my story, I haven't been able to do that since. And it's 10 years ago, 2013, when I started to have chronic fatigue and just couldn't sleep at night. You know, the big red flag of adrenal exhaustion is 2 a.m., wide awake, can't fall back asleep. You're tired but wired all day. Have a nap in the afternoon instead of sleeping or instead of working out, and just gaining fat weight and losing muscle tone and just no energy to do things. So I always have to be careful taking care of me, because I think genetically I must be more susceptible to burnout and breakdown, so to speak, HPA axis dysfunction and feeling really depleted. And I've been doing that to myself again. So I just am kind of pushing pause and reset. That includes studying Dr. Stacy Sims' Menopausal 2.0 program I've had in my to-do list here, and looking at how we train differently as we age. And men and women, I think if you are an endurance athlete as myself who loves doing long distance events and races as Ironman and trail running and cycling and all that fun stuff I was talking about, you may struggle with fat loss. You may struggle with recovery, and maybe you're struggling with getting power and speed back and really bouncing back from workouts, right? So that's been me. I feel that as I am suddenly, I was getting used to being 50, but now this year I'll be 52. November 5th is my birthday. And I feel that I need to practice what I preach, and the word insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. The struggle is real. If you are not getting the results you want, we need to stop, push pause, and reset. Try something different. And that's what I've been doing. So if you listen to me, I've been putting everything on my YouTube channel more so than the audio podcast versions, because YouTube just makes it easier. And I'm all about easy. And Dr. Elizabeth Bright, we did 2 podcasts, and it's pretty amazing information for men and women having low or high cortisol and low hormones as we age. Chronic stress, as you may have heard me say, impacts the whole you. And if we look at the female athlete aging and going through what's so-called this pre-menopause, perimenopause, and post-menopause, all these phases of life, I like what Dr. Elizabeth Bright says is you're fertile or not fertile. So it's kind of menopause is reverse puberty. I've heard people say is that you go through puberty. Women, we go start getting our cycle, and then you stop getting your cycle, and then you're back to kind of where you were before that. So it's all about supporting our adrenals and supporting our HPA axis, managing our stressors. And part of that as endurance athletes and low carb athletes is knowing how to change your workout schedule to really train appropriately to improve the aging process for men and women. Chronic cardio, so to speak, as we do as endurance athletes training for these ultra long events, may not be beneficial for you. And that longer cardio will raise your cortisol. And if you already have a ton of stress in your day-to-day life, it could be financial stress, it could be family stress, it can be all sorts of external stressors. But then on top of that, we have these hidden sources of internal stress that impact. Hidden stands for hormone dysfunction that we'll talk about today. Immune dysfunction, stress is on, your immune system's down. Digestion, if stress is on, digestion's turned off. Sympathetic nervous system is fight or flight. Parasympathetic nervous system is the rest and digest. Detoxification system, it gets overloaded. So when we have stress that's constant, we're in that fight or flight mode. We are more susceptible to pathogens, to imbalance in our bacteria. So we get these opportunistic bacteria, dysbiosis, leaky gut, endotoxin. So our liver is overloaded working on all of this on top of all the other jobs it has, as with our metabolism. And detoxification phase 1 and 2 gets often congested. And then we've got our bile flow, lymphatic system, everything. Detox 1 and 2, and 3 is your drainage pathway. So we got a lot of issues there. So adding to our stress, bucket of stress. And then E is our energy systems. So you'll feel that mitochondria dysfunction, low energy. And then we have neurotransmitter function, the nervous system. And so we want to look at all these different hidden internal stressors when we have symptoms of doing too much in life. You're feeling run down, broken, burned out, as I struggle on and off with. And for me, it's, I was doing better, and then I'm starting to, spend a lot of money doing metabolic testing, but not knowing where I'm doing testing and not knowing a lot of people here in San Diego, and just thought it'd be easier. And so I have this stress in my life again, as I did running my own fitness studio for 10 years. So we have to learn but when to, hey, let's push pause. Let's reflect on what we're doing. Let's change it up. So signs and symptoms of when you need to shift, I'll go over in a PowerPoint presentation. High cortisol symptoms, for example, increased belly fat, high blood pressure, poor sleep, loss of protein, high cholesterol, low vitamin D levels, acid reflux, ulcers. But if you have low cortisol symptoms, that's going to be inflammation, immune issues, allergies, asthma, memory problems, and of course, just feeling stressed all the time. So we have to look at cortisol and the balance of cortisol to DHEA ratio in your adrenal gland. We can measure with the Dutch test, or there's a saliva urine test that's over a 24-hour period of time. And we can get this daily free cortisol pattern by measuring waking, morning, afternoon, and night, and see where our energy is, see how we metabolize, how well we metabolize cortisol. Are we using it? Is it active or inactive form? Cortisol versus cortisone, and all sorts of stuff. So you can listen to Dr. Kelly Ruff. We talked about the Dutch test earlier this year. And I'll show my PowerPoint slides on the YouTube channel, daily free cortisol with cortisol awakening response. What is normal? So everything is that Goldilocks effect. We want it this optimal amount, not too high, not too low, but cortisol should be highest in the morning when melatonin should be lowest and wake us up. And then we should have this kind of gradual decline in the day. But what if you're low all the time? My Dutch test a couple years ago, I need to redo it again, but I was low, and now I kind of can feel some of the symptoms of stress, and I'm just tired in the day, more in the afternoon. That's why I take more movement breaks and do little mini workouts to get energy and prioritize my sleep. But knowing that cortisol, if it's high or low, we need to alter how we train, how we eat, how we fuel, and our lifestyle habits. So what I have for you is a slide presentation of, okay, should you do fasting? How long? 12 hours may be enough. Should you do cold therapy? Should you do sauna? Should you do HIIT training? Should you do that 4 or 5 hour long bike ride or ultra run hike? So we need to listen to our body. I really believe, obviously, in testing as the PNOE metabolic testing kit at rest and during your exercise, and retest every 3 months. Look at your full comprehensive blood chemistry panel. Look at your hormones, blood and serum, or serum is blood, and then saliva or the urine through the Dutch test. So we don't know what we don't know. So you're just kind of guessing. So as I said, I'm kind of feeling dizzy if I get up too fast. I'm feeling I need exhaustive in the afternoons that I need to sleep or go move and do something. I'm feeling more depressed and like just different things. So you have to pay attention to what's going on with your body when you need to reset your program. Other symptoms of high cortisol: your blood sugar is higher, insulin resistance, high blood pressure, as I said, low immunity, frequent infections, suppressed gut immunity, digestive symptoms, poor thyroid functions. Whenever you have cortisol, adrenal issues, HPA axis dysfunction, you're really possibly for sure having low thyroid issues. Stress is on, everything else is on hold. Your body has a very smart, it's innate intelligence going to work on protecting you. And other high cortisol, you might have insomnia, anxiety issues, poor memory, cognitive decline, racing heart rate, weight gain around the middle, decreased muscle mass, bone mineral density, poor wound healing, second wind, energy at night, that tired but wired, and low testosterone. So what's interesting talking to Dr. Elizabeth Bright and reading her book is that a lot of these symptoms of high or low cortisol are also similar to what women are told is menopause. And what we're not told in menopause, which makes me laugh, the definition of menopause is, I don't know whoever discovered this, but Dr. Bright wrote all about the history of the meaning of menopause in her book. But when you officially don't have your cycle for 12 months, then you're in menopause. So it's kind of this, as Dr. Carrie Jones talks about, it's this one moment of time, that the day that has been officially 12 months, and I can say I'm in menopause. Now I'm post-menopause the day after that. So it's kind of funny. It's one day in time. But symptoms of high and low cortisol are also the symptoms you get when you have that so-called menopause. So doctors don't tell us when the ovaries are going to retire and stop making your estradiol E2, that your adrenal glands are going to continue making hormones, and they have more responsibilities because they're taking over for the ovaries. So they've got a lot more work to do. So why don't we focus on premenopause, on managing our stress levels that are chronic stress, and get that nice healthy dose of good acute stress and work on recovery and avoid these chronic sources of stress, right? Why don't we get told that? So we should be working on acute stress load, avoiding the chronic stress load, external and internal. So stress management techniques, how we eat, how we train. And as Dr. Elizabeth Bright talks about, feeding your body the right healthy fats from ideally an animal-based diet to help make those steroid hormones that are made from cholesterol, which cholesterol comes from fat. So getting those good essential fatty acids to help build our hormones. So I've been trying myself to add a little, not a stick of butter, but a tablespoon of butter into my coffee, ideally decaf coffee if you have high cortisol, and have a little bit of butter in my coffee, and then maybe if I'm hungry, snack with salami with some butter, and having more healthy fats throughout the day with focus on I'm not a strict carnivore, I'm more keto carnivore, and I listen to my body when it needs to eat. And I'll add in fasting as much as I was. I'm trying to heal my body and not do all this fasting that we've been talking about for years. And I was trying it because it was the best thing to do for health and longevity. But if you're an athlete, I tell my clients that I think there's something to just fasting 12 hours a day. That should be natural. That's not intermittent fasting. That should be normal. And not eating 3 hours before bed unless you feel hungry, then have a little teaspoon of something, have some amino acids. But I think the 16-8 intermittent fasting and doing 24, 48, 72-hour fasts are for people that are metabolically ill and have insulin resistance. So if you are listening and you're an athlete that feels pretty good in your training, you should pay attention to how you feel if you're fasting too much. Maybe that is becoming a stressor to your body and filling up another stressor in your bucket, your stress beaker. And that could be causing some issues because it ends up being lower calories. If we're fasting OMAD, for example, and I'm still training 2-3 times a day, doing little mini workouts throughout the day, what if you are eating 1 or 2 meals a day? Are you hitting the protein goals? So we go back to listen to Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, who suggests eating protein, grams of protein per day per your ideal body weight. So if your ideal body weight is 150 pounds, then you should try to get close to around 150 grams of protein per day, but only absorbing so much at once. So we want to do 30 to 50 grams of protein 3 times a day. So if you're doing OMAD, you're trying to get all your calories in one meal. If you are doing that, are you getting the right amount of protein? Getting enough healthy fats. So some people say 1-to-1 ratio. So if I need 150 grams of protein, I need 150 grams of fat. If you're doing more carnivore, Dr. Elizabeth Bright talks about for your hormone building, healing your body, doing 80% fat, 20% protein. Other people are 70-30. And then there's us that are exercising more. You may need, well, you don't need carbohydrates, but if you're working on performance gains, that's when we discuss the benefit of strategic carb timing, eating those carbs before, during, after, around your specific workouts that are more carb depleting. No, you don't need carbohydrates. They're not essential as amino acids from protein and from fats, essential fatty acids. But for an athlete who is looking to get faster and have some performance gains during a workout, you may benefit from having some good quality carbohydrates before, during, or after, depending on the workout and the individual. And females, time of cycle, time of the month, we may perform better. So yes, I could not do any carbs, but if I'm looking to get faster and hit my numbers as an athlete, hit more power output on a bike, get faster running on a hill, doing sprints, 20-30 seconds, I might need to figure out where to put in some carbs the evening meal before, or even adding a little bit something before my coffee. So that's what I do with clients now, is more, let's figure out the ideal day, the ideal week. Let's look at your labs and investigate what's actually going on and create the ideal program for you. So I am doing this podcast today to launch a new month, second half of the year. I want to focus on what is the ideal fueling and training program for you, the endurance athlete, but also if you're like me, we're going to the second half of our life. And my goal is to have the best part of my life, the second half of the life. So hopefully you are training now for how you want to be when you're 70, 80, 90 years old. And you are striving to thrive as you get older and not be struggling to survive every day, move around, have mobility issues. I see a lot of runners, and I'm one of these myself, who looks horrible when they're running. We're tight. My joints are inflamed. My back feels always out of alignment. My right hip flexor is just super tight. Psoas is super tight. I could use ART every day. But should you be training and alter your workouts? Well, that might be beneficial if you want to look good when you're older. So going to my presentation I'll do on hormones and stress and performance, I'll do that on the YouTube channel, Low Carb Athlete. I did write some blogs I'm putting together for the aging female athlete on my website, debbiepotts.net. And you can check that out. I'm putting notes together from Dr. Stacy Sims' course. And then I'm looking at what she says for the training methods and understanding the why we need to change how we train based on the change in our bodies because our estrogen, progesterone levels drop. And understanding how that impacts our muscle strength, our power, our tendon, ligament health, our recovery is really important to pay attention to. Even if you don't agree, because I know a lot of people in the low carb world argue with Dr. Stacy Sims that you don't need carbs. I understand the why, and I love what she's teaching us on why we need to change how we train and do more heavy weightlifting, high intensity interval training. Included in that HIIT training is our sit short intensity interval training. So 20, 10, 20, 30 second all out sprints, and then a 2-minute long recovery. And then plyometrics. And I am doing a demo myself this month of August 2023. I'm trying to do more because I've been doing the heavy weights, but I took out doing the plyometrics because I was tired or my back hurt, and working on this right hip and getting my kind of physical therapy exercises to strengthen my muscles in my right quad and left quads are not working. So I am pushing pause, resetting, looking at this program and creating a protocol for clients that are coming to me for individual coaching, and then I'll personalize it for their needs, but looking at, okay, what are some great workouts that are the benefits of what Stacy Sims is saying to increase strength, power, speed, and recovery. So estrogen plays a role. So why do all these things happen? Why do we have all these changes as females, but also men, I think, change too. So if you're still just doing that long distance cardio training, you might want to look at a couple different options. The minimal effective dose. I've also been playing with blood flow restrictive bands, the Be Strong bands, so you get more growth hormone increase in your workouts, and I'll do a podcast on that. I think doing heavier weights and then adding in some sprints in there in between the workout, add some plyometrics. So I'm writing out some workouts and saving them on my Training Peak. So when I create programs for clients, I can talk about what works best for them and what they have access to. But adding recovery days. Remember, less is more. We need more recovery time as we get older. So I always say don't blame the aging process, but embrace the aging process. We should not be training the same at 50 years old that I did at 40 or 30. I know that because I'm not getting the results. I'm doing the long runs because I like them, but I'm so slow. And I had a long time to get over that because I used to be able to run very strong and could do a 3:12 Boston Marathon, and I qualify all the time, and a 1:35 half marathon was my best time that I try to get. But ever since my adrenal issues and my hormone issues and whatever else I had, metabolic chaos the past 10 years, I've just struggled. And part of that could be my hormones when I do the Dutch test are all bottom of the barrel. So do I look at bioidentical hormones now? Who knows? I'm just focusing on doing this type of training instead of depending on supplements, because remember, you can't out-supplement poor lifestyle habits, and you can't out-supplement poor nutrition and the right exercise program. So if you're doing a lot of endurance work, you may benefit from doing shorter workouts, 30, 45 minutes, and get them to be more quality workouts, as using the Be Strong bands, doing some intervals when appropriate, when you're recovered, tracking recovery with heart rate variability, and then combining maybe 3 days a week of more strength training with some of those HIIT sprints in between and plyometrics. So doing a total body workout, but that's more specific to you as an athlete, a cyclist, a runner, triathlete, really dialing that in. So I want to go back to an example here of what Dr. Stacy Sims talks about in her books, Roar and Next Level, and on the menopause coaching program I'm doing right now. The information on estrogen that plays a crucial role in the female bodies for athletic performance. How does this lower level of hormones impact our performance? As muscle strength, estrogen is believed to have a positive effect on muscle strength, But when they're lower, women may experience a reduction in muscle strength compared to when their estrogen levels are higher. Muscle power. Lower estrogen levels may decrease muscle power output. Power is a combination of strength and speed, so reductions in both factors can contribute to a decline in power performance. Tendon and ligament health. Estrogen plays a role in maintaining the health and integrity of tendons and ligaments. Reduced estrogen levels may increase the risk of injury to these connective tissues. So maybe why my hips are always so tight and sore. Recovery. Estrogen can influence the rate of muscle recovery after exercise. Lower estrogen levels might lead to slower recovery times, impacting the athlete's ability to perform at optimal levels during their upcoming training or races. So, of course, everyone's different. Some people may react differently, but really we want to go back to supporting the adrenals, as Dr. Elizabeth Bright talks about, eating more healthy fats and animal fat-based diet, getting rid of the inflammatory foods, and that could be plant toxins for a lot of people, gluten, wheat, grains, vegetable oils, the bad fats, and look at training differently, right? So if you feel, as Stacey Sims talks about in her program, was exactly what I've been dealing with, feeling puffy, inflamed, lack of power, lack of strength, that is what I've been experiencing, which I realized, hey, when I turned 50, I trained for 6 months for this really hard workout I wrote myself. It was tire flips and had burpees and had box jumps, alternating with heavy strength weight. And I don't know, I stopped, I guess, because I got hurt because it was kind of a crazy workout and my pelvis was out of alignment, and got help with my chiropractor, Dave, but I need to reintroduce that. So that's kind of what I'm doing this month. So lots of reasons why our body changes. So it could be because, again, our hormones. It could be you're not recovering well because you're overtraining and you're training men and women and too much zone 3, not doing enough low zone 2 and doing intervals correctly. A lot of people don't do zone 4, zone 5 all out sprints and recovery down to zone 1, which would be a example of what HIIT training is. Short intensity interval training would be zone 5 all the way back down to zone 1. And I did some podcasts on that. I'm actually having Dr. Daniel Krumback on the podcast next week to talk about that. Inadequate nutrition. A lot of people, as I said, don't eat enough calories, and they have a lot of nutrient deficiencies that can result in reduced muscle power and strength. So proper nutrition, getting enough protein is essential for muscle repair and growth. So I know a lot of people in keto, they're so focused on all the fats, but they're forgetting the benefit and the requirement of protein. And they've got to be, over the years, afraid of protein that they're going to get kicked out of nutritional ketosis. So that's kind of the transition, I think, from keto to carnivore the past 5 years probably now, that you need your protein, but you need your fats. So do you need to be in nutritional ketosis all the time? That's another discussion, and everyone's got different opinions on that. But if you don't have a lot of brain issues, cancer, a lot of inflammation, might be okay not being in nutritional ketosis 24/7. A lot of people say you don't need to be all the time in a nutritional ketosis, which is about 0.5 to 1.5 up to 3 millimoles. So dehydration, lack of proper hydration can lead to reduced blood volume and decreased power and strength performance. So I actually have unflavored LMNT in my water all day long. And I also use Jigsaw Health Adrenal Cocktail that has higher vitamin C and sodium in it with some, I think, potassium as well. But I'm always adding minerals to my water. Remember, you don't sweat out just plain water. You sweat out minerals. So we want to really be careful that we're having the right balance of minerals. And that's why I like LMNT, because it's a great option. There's also Redmond's Real Salt I'll put all over my food. And there's Real Light. Some people like better than LMNT, but just check it out. And also always use our discount code Low Carb Athlete to save some money and get a free pack of LMNT when you order. So also injuries and overuse certain muscle groups can cause localized inflammation, impair strength and power in those areas. So if you're only doing running, if you're only doing biking, that's why you should look at cross training and train as a triathlete, even if you're not doing a triathlon, but mix up your sports. Cross training, especially for running, that you run 3-4 days a week, not 6 days a week, and cross train those other days. And then make sure you're adding in strength training, 30 minutes, no more than 45 minutes of weight training in the gym. More is not better there. So you want to really nail your weightlifting sessions that are heavy enough that you're done in 30 to 45 minutes with your mobility drills before and after. So making sure you're not overtraining certain muscle groups. That's why swimming is great. Other possible reasons of getting slower: chronic inflammatory conditions. So if you have chronic inflammation as autoimmune disorders, chronic overtraining can lead to that feeling of puffiness and reduced performance. So autoimmune issues, a lot of people I test, you want to get that full blood chemistry panel, and we look at that and look at the assessment of if these are higher or lower in our functional range. The doctor's ranges, traditional medicines, are not your ideal optimal ranges. They're normal based on sick people. So we don't look at those results because everyone's probably, oh, your results are okay, you're normal. No, you want to be optimal. So we want to look at your blood chemistry panel in a functional lens and look at more of the root cause medicine. What is high or low? And let's collect clues and correlate all this data together. Figure out, do you have autoimmune issues? Look at foods you are eating. Are they causing inflammation in your body? Do you have leaky gut? How are you even, before that, eating your food? Are you eating in a stressed out state? You're sympathetic. You're going to have problems anyway, anything you eat. So we really want to look at chronic stress leads to chronic inflammation. But why do you have that? Where is it coming from? Next one here on the list is sleep. Inadequate sleep can negatively impact hormone levels, recovery, and overall athletic performance. And of course, chronic stress can lead to hormonal imbalances and impact athletes' physical and mental well-being, affecting performance. Medical conditions as thyroid issues, anemia. A lot of people have low iron levels. But I'm finding that is also related to their GI tests, stool tests we do, that a lot of people have H. pylori. So you're not breaking down your protein into your amino acids. A lot of people get low zinc, low B12, and low iron because of that. It's all connected. If you have fatigue, weakness, reduced performance, you might look at those lab tests, functional medicine tests, not just your doctor won't test any of these. And the doctors aren't even doing your full thyroid panel. You can ask me what a full thyroid panel is and what is a comprehensive blood chemistry panel. We can go over that. Training program technique. Inappropriate training program, poor form and alignment can lead to injuries, inflammation, decreased strength and power. So always, before you start lifting heavy weights, I think 3 to 6 months you've been working on foundations first, training movement patterns, training core, rotator cuff, stability, mobility is what you want to do before. So those are some thoughts. I'm putting together a new ebook and a program to do as a group. Hopefully, it's one of my goals for the aging athlete and then the female athlete. And looking at the nutrition requirements, looking at your lifestyle habits, and looking at your lab tests would be individual coaching, but then let's look at your workout program. So how can we support the adrenals? How can we help this transition for females and males as we age to support the body in the right way to decrease inflammation and improve energy, strength gains, and everything else? So we want to improve our metabolism and improve our ability to recover and repair from workouts so we can hit it hard the next time. So check out my blog on debbiepotts.net. I'm kind of putting everything into there right now. How we can improve our estrogen receptors post-menopause, and it comes up as exercise. So important as our hormones get out of whack and get lower. You can improve it with exercise and nutrition. You don't need to do all the supplements. Some people will look at bioidentical hormones, but you want to start making sure you have your insulin sensitivity, bone health, cardiovascular function, strength, power, exercise, plyometrics in the right sequence in your workout program. Look at, our glucose, insulin sensitivity. So that'll be, your carb timing if you're going to have carbs around that workout. So you can look at improving insulin sensitivity and look at growth hormone and IGF-1 and looking at how we can use the Be Strong, the blood flow restrictor bands into the workout to get increased growth hormone. How can we time fasting to make it not be an added stress to an athlete that's already doing too much? So that is what my focus is on in the next few months. So check out YouTube channel Low Carb Athlete Coach and the website debbiepotts.net. Let me know your questions. If you want a discovery call to do my personalized coaching program where we dive into all this, I spread out the program so it's 6 months of accountability, looking at your nutrition and your exercise, and do the lab testing and lifestyle habits, tracking your aura or your WHOOP and your recovery readiness. And we want to look at all this data. So instead of 4 months, because no one really takes 4 months, we take 6 months once we do the labs, do the investigation, work on nutrition, how we're eating, what we're eating, when, why, and then we get the lab test results. I do the investigation and create a protocol based on what our medical director suggests, as well as what we find all together. And then it's usually a 90-day protocol or so, because we want to prepare the liver. Then we'll do a protocol if we find, which everyone has, some type of bacteria overgrowth, parasite, pathogen stuff going on in the gut. And then we have to do the 5R protocol: remove, repair, reinoculate, restore, rebuild. So we want to take it baby steps. So it's not just a 3-month program, 4-month program. It's 6 months, sometimes a year. So head to debbiepotts.net, schedule a discovery call with me there. And if you want to check out some of our favorite products to support the podcast, head to Paleo Valley and use our code LowCarbAthlete and LMNT Element for my favorite electrolyte mix, or Redmond's Real Salt. I got the huge bag, I think it's 10 pounds, that I just refill our salt shaker, and I put that on my steak, my hard-boiled eggs, everything. Even almond butter. I've been having a spoonful of putting salt. So I know I have adrenal issues because I can just have a ton of salt. So another clue. All right. We'll talk to you soon. Let me know your topics of what you want to listen to and watch on the YouTube channel this rest of the year, 2023. We've got Bronson. I've got Dave Feldman. We have Zach Bitter and I are doing a podcast together, and we've got lots other great stuff. Daniel Crumbach, and I'll get some more scheduled for you. So let me know your questions and what topics you want me to cover for the endurance athlete, the aging athlete, and the female athlete. All right. Have a good one. Make today the best day ever.
Thanks for listening to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic suggestions, let us know on Facebook or at debbiepotts.net. You can help us to continue to grow by leaving a review on iTunes. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.